So hello everyone and welcome to Through the Rabbit Hole. So I'm going to be your host tonight and I am Storm. I'm here with Scorpio and Sky's Lesbians and we are going to be doing the final episode on the NHS. Now I do want to warn the audience who are watching this that as you can see by the beginning there is a trigger warning as this discussion will be involving children and harm to children. So I'm going to start by playing the video. It's a long video, it's 6 minutes. So we'll only be showing the one video, but we will be having a discussion after it. And we'll also be telling you stories from our experiences with regards to this condition. So here's the video now.
With William, this gorgeous, gorgeous little boy. We're seeing the photos there. He's just a wonderful child. What was he like?
He was just so happy. You know, at the end of every single day, our cheeks hurt because we'd just be smiling so much. I've only got one photo of him crying. He was just so content. He wanted to. He was just so calm. You would sit and play with him, and he would want you to show him how to do it, and then he would follow. And
oh, bless him.
He was just perfect. He was everything that we'd ever dreamed of and more.
And so he had this persistent cough. And so this lasted for about 7 weeks. And you took him to the GP. And what did they say? Because 7 weeks is a long time.
We took him to the GP quite a lot over those 7 weeks. And every single time they just told us it was a viral infection, despite more symptoms becoming, you know, like vomiting and things like that. It was 2 days before he died, he started getting a really high fever, and we took him to the emergency doctor, and we were sent home. We didn't find out until after William had died that the examination fell below standard. In the 36 hours before he died, we saw 2 doctors and spoke to the 111 service, and they all deemed William's situation as non-urgent. And within a few hours of speaking to the last doctor, who told us to leave him in bed, that was the best place for him, to not bring him in, I went in to check on him, and he'd passed away.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. The NHS England report, as you mentioned, they published that last year, found that there were 4 missed opportunities to save William's life. Doctors, the 111 non-emergency helpline failed to diagnose pneumonia and the common but lethal infection of sepsis. He died within 12 hours of your last call. The report found that there were 16 mistakes contributing to his death, which included the tick box system used by call handlers and failed to include sepsis red flags. And because part of this problem is that no one knew what to look for, knew what the signs were, despite the fact that it kills 37,000 people each year in England, more than breast, bowel and prostate cancer combined.
I know. When we had William's post-mortem results and it said that he had died of sepsis, I looked at Paul and said, that must be really rare. I don't know what that is.
Oh gosh, and it's not.
And then we obviously took to Google and found that actually it was UK's second biggest killer. We were dumbfounded, we were speechless.
And so what your campaign has done, and the big breakthrough that you've had, is that his case would now have been seen as urgent.
Yeah.
And that's the big difference, because it is urgent. I mean, this is a matter of hours, as we saw with your child.
Yeah, and I think once there is even a hint or a potential case of sepsis, to be treated within the golden hour, you know, as a medical emergency is absolutely vital. And it's not just for children, it's for adults.
Yeah.
You know, we lose more adults than we do children. And there are, you know, children out there without parents because of sepsis when it could be treated.
What do you look for? What are the signs?
William's symptoms specifically was he had no urine output. He had a very high temperature, but also a very low temperature. People don't realise that a low temperature is dangerous. Cold and clammy extremities, vomiting, floppiness. Can be a rash. But I mean, I'm not a clinician, so I'd advise you to go on to NHS Choices or Sepsis Trust website to familiarise yourself with the symptoms.
And what actually is it? Because I mean, he had it with the pneumonia that was in his chest, but it can, I mean, we've spoken to people that have had it from being to the dentist, having a cut in their gum. I mean, it can be anywhere on the body, can't it?
Yeah, it's the body's overreaction to an infection where it attacks its own organs. So William obviously had this pneumonia and he ended up with lots of fluid in his chest cavity, and that is where it got into his bloodstream and attacked his organs.
You You've been remarkable as a family because you haven't got angry, you've got active, really very, very active. What have you achieved so far?
Well, like you say, William didn't know anger or regret or blame, and for us to live in a life that is enveloped by those things would just not honour his memory in the way that, you know, he was a happy little boy. So actually we want to do something for people to remember him by that. And so one of the things that we have done, for example, is we've had leaflets put into the bounty packs for all new parents about it. There's been a campaign for young children, so GP surgeries carry the leaflets. Doctors now, if there are red flag symptoms of sepsis, even if the patient doesn't have sepsis, there to give a leaflet about it. But there's a lot more that needs to be done, and we're going to be working with the government to make sure that this snowballs.
And you've become project manager at the Sepsis Trust because they originally helped you, and now your knowledge of this is invaluable, your experience is invaluable. You must be incredibly proud of his legacy and what he's achieved.
I'm blessed that he picked me to be his mum. You know, I'm honoured to call him my son, and I'm incredibly proud of what's been achieved in his name. You know, it's not me that's done that, it's him. And, you know, the impact that he's had in his short life is more than I could ever hope to achieve in a lifetime. You know, and I don't think there are many parents that can say that about their children.
Tell me about the teddy.
Well, when William died, we wanted to bring him home and we wanted to cuddle him still. We had aching arms, and so we put some of his ashes into a teddy bear so we could bring him with us. And, you know, so he's here with me today because it's about him.
Well done, you. Incredible. Just extraordinary what you'll do. You and William will save so many lives and hopefully prevent a mum and a dad from going through what you guys have gone through.
That's all we hope for. If one life is saved, then it's one life.
Okay, so firstly, I want to say that's a really, really sad story. And, you know, my heart goes out to the parents of William. And we on this channel send our regards to the parents. Before we start this discussion, I do want to say that within this film, we will be showing information about warning signs of sepsis. So you and your loved ones are protected. So you know the conditions and so on and so forth, you know?
Oh, that was definitely a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how do people not know about sepsis? I mean, anytime I've walked, I don't know about the rest of the world, obviously, but here, anytime I've walked into a doctor's office or a hospital, there's posters on the wall. There's ones for sepsis, there's ones, you know, for all different serious conditions that can affect anybody, especially children. It's actually quite sad. And the medical professions, how did the doctors not know the warning signs? Like, how do you contact your doctor and get turned away so many times?
Especially being a baby.
I know. That doesn't make sense.
I know, and to be completely honest with you, I mean, being in a hospital as well, when there's loads of medical professionals there and stuff like that who should be looking out for the warning signs, especially when it comes to children's healthcare, you know, and they kind of missed it. I mean, what's going on there?
I don't think they've missed it. I think it's a lack of interest. Can I say that? Interest. Because they're so used to seeing certain things, they should have picked up on the most obvious signs, and they didn't want to know. Or they didn't know the signs, and I can't believe that. Because, as you say, there are posters in doctors' surgeries talking about sepsis and the evidence of sepsis. So why didn't they do tests, and why didn't they do scans and just the simplest things? I think it's complacency, really, on the behalf of the doctors and nurses.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like that it's something that is so overlooked. Why is it overlooked?
See, that's the thing. it shouldn't be overlooked because it is, like she said, number 2 killer. I'd be intrigued to know if meningitis was number 1, you know, because these things are more serious conditions that do spread very fast through your body and can cause end of life pretty quick, you know. Like, it makes no sense that these medical professionals did not pick up on this. And I think you're right. I think it's a lack of care. I think it was a lack of not wanting to.
I can give you an example of Mum when she was quite poorly. She had sepsis. She had an ulcer on her foot, on her leg, and it started off okay to some degree. I mean, they were treating it with antibiotics, and it was getting better. But then she had to go for she had to go to the doctor's hospital, and she told them certain things about her leg and everything else, and they gave her some more antibiotics, and then more antibiotics, but the leg wasn't getting any better. It was just staying as is, and then gradually got worse. And the nurses that came in to look after Mum, to care for her, and see to her leg, if you were to question what they were doing, they would snap at you as if you're interfering with their treatment. And I think it's the same. And they think that they are in the right, and they have a God-given right to do what they're doing without a question. And I was primary carer for our mum, and I should have been informed all the way. And if I didn't think that things were being done correctly, I had the authority to say yes or no to what they were doing. But they questioned me, and when I told them about what they were doing, they basically insulted me and walked out. Yeah, and I think sometimes the hospitals are very similar to that. If you try and tell the doctors that something is seriously wrong, they either look at you as if you shouldn't be telling them what they should be doing, or they take their action or send you home because they don't want to know, because you're insulting their intelligence. But it's not the case. You know, it's your family, it's your sibling, and of course you know the signs more than they do of what is right and what is wrong, and whether they're healthy or not healthy. And they should realise that and listen to you. And I don't think they do listen to you, or obviously haven't listened in this case. And I think it's totally wrong. I mean, it makes me angry, really, to think that in today's age, the 21st century, with all the technology they have at hand, they can't do tests to decipher some kind of disease or some kind of problem. It's just not right.
No, I absolutely agree. It isn't right, and it shouldn't be happening, especially like with those kinds of things. It's the lack of empathy for me, honestly. It really, really is. People seem to care less and less and less and less. It's the they're desensitized.
Yeah.
And that's the thing as well, like, we know our own body. Like, if we're going to listen to a doctor how we're feeling and what's wrong, they should listen to us. It's not that we're trying to make them look stupid in front of their job or whatever. We know our own body.
Mm-hmm.
We know how we're feeling inside. Mm-hmm. So listen to us.
Exactly, spot on.
Maybe things like this might be prevented.
Yeah.
So I have got a story about something that happened within my family. So my sister, she got diagnosed with having kidney failure, right? And she was being told for ages that she was suffering from IBS, right? So she was being treated for IBS from the GP. It turns out that when she went to see a locum at the hospital, at the GP centre, it was a locum that said to my sister that she needed to go to the hospital straight away. And when she went up to the hospital, that's when she found out she had kidney failure. And the hospital told her that she was very lucky, because if she left it another week, she wouldn't be with us now. Right, and that's because she was getting wrongly diagnosed from a GP. So she went in for her operation to have a kidney transplant, and she got sepsis in hospital, and she was rushed to the emergency unit, and she was there for, I think it was 2 weeks. She was nearly not with us now because of incompetent doctors, you know. And what really gets to me is that she went into hospital and she had an operation and she caught sepsis in hospital. So that's worrying. That's worrying regarding someone's life, someone's care, right? And now it happens to children, right? And it's just mind-boggling to me how these people are supposed to be there to care for you, to look after you, to make sure you're okay, make sure you're walking out of the hospital alive, you know, not put you in a situation where you're barely holding on.
Exactly, you go in and you come out worse than when you first went in. How does that work? And I think you're right, though. It's a lack of... It's like with the NHS. If you're not paying for it, you're going to get a very basic level standard of care. And I do generally I know it's a lot of it's to do with training as well, but I've been trying to go private with with my doctors and things, and paying for medical insurance and all that kinds of stuff. And that's one of the things I found that was very interesting. That it's money, you know, depending on how much you're paying is depending on the level of care you're going to receive.
Actually, I've got a quick question. So when you was a carer and you worked with all the elderly people in the job you used to do, did you ever come across any symptoms of sepsis in where you worked?
Oh yeah, quite a few times. Of course, it's the elderly. I mean, especially in the elderly. I had a lady who had like really bad legs. She would get a lot of fluid retention, like a lot of the time. And we had to really keep an eye on her because she was actually prone to sepsis. We had to keep an eye on her legs, make sure they weren't too red, make sure, because that's another sign, heat. If you can feel heat radiating from an area that's infected like that, chances are, you know, you need to see a doctor. And that would happen to her quite frequently. We'd have to rush her back to the hospital quite a lot because of how bad her legs were, but through another condition was why that kept happening to her.
Right.
But we knew the signs, we knew the symptoms, we knew what to look for, and we knew what it was instantly. So then we could act accordingly. It's the misinformation. It's how people don't know about sepsis, considering. Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I was just going to say, and that's what I find fascinating. So, you worked in the care industry as a nurse, was end of life kind of situation.
Yeah.
Now, if you knew about it in your field, why didn't actual medical professionals know about it? Someone who works in hospitals who deals with this daily.
Well, that is a good question, isn't it?
If I can come in here, if you think about it, if they're seeing loads and loads of people and loads of children, and we all know that when you have children, they have viruses, they have colds, and it's a regular thing. I think it becomes complacent. It's complacency, isn't it, on behalf of the doctors and nurses? Oh, it's a kid. They've got this virus, whatever. Send them home, whatever, and they just do. They don't actually think, oh, it could be something else. Mm-hmm. And if they do think that, then they should act on it. And obviously they don't act on it because they think it's just a virus. Complacency. That's what I like to say is complacency. Doctors would check and say, this, how long has it been going on for? What sort of symptoms have you had over the last few hours or a day or whatever? A good doctor will check all these things out and act. And if they're not a good doctor, and it doesn't seem like they are good doctors, they won't act, and they'll just say, "Oh, it's just a virus," and then tell them to go home. It doesn't make me angry because I know from experience what doctors can be like. It's just maddening, really.
Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, I remember, was it with my youngest? So she was really sick, right? She was lying on the couch. She was very much lifeless. I was struggling to wake her up. Her temperature was like over 100. Like, it was really, really bad. And I remember going on the phone to the doctor at the time and actually having to argue with them to give me an appointment, because they were just putting it down to that she had a cold, she'll be fine, you know, just let her sleep it off. And I was like, absolutely not. And then they said, we'll get you in. This was like at 9 o'clock in the morning. And they says, we'll get you in at 3. And even then I was like, no, that's absolutely not acceptable. I explained her symptoms again. I was like, you need to check her over. So then she changed the time, because I was taking no for an answer, because I don't play when it comes to my kids. So eventually I got in there and I was right. You know, she was really, really, really sick. She had a chest infection, she had a throat infection, she had an ear infection, she had all of the above, and that was one of the reasons she was like the way she was, you know, so very like out of it sort of looking, bless her heart. But they would have just left her, and I have no doubt in my mind, if it wasn't for the fact that I was shouting at the receptionist, they would have just left her.
So we're going to take a break now. If you've got any stories you want to share with us, then please leave it in the comments section. If you've got anything you want to say to us, any messages you want to leave us, then please head over to our community page and we will read everything you say to us. And if you've got any ideas for up and coming topics, then you can please share them as well. We believe here that your voice matters, so we will talk about anything that you suggest to us. So we are going to leave you now with this piece of music. So we hope you enjoy.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, no, this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Yeah. There's no mercy in this world, just hunger-thirsty persons in different versions, each new update, that shit worsens. Why? Pull back the curtain and you'll see the different vermin. We all have different burdens that all seem to cause disturbance. Yo, so do me a favor, don't treat me like a neighbor. Don't need the different flavors of your problems just to savor. I've got my own issues, I need a comb to get through. Don't need to groan with you, just go get your own tissue.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
That's it, the end of the song. Next time you'll sing along. Trust me, there's nothing wrong. I just need to carry on, cause society's a myth put there to make you sit. Listen to what they give. Don't ask questions, shut your lid. Yeah, don't ask questions, shut your lid. I need to run away from this and go get off the grid. Feel like my brain is overloaded, man, I'm losing it. Don't let them tell you what to do, man, they don't know shit.
So hello everyone, we're back. Right, we know the first half we were talking a lot about sepsis. The reason why is because sepsis is literally end of life, and why we will be posting the information of the warning signs for you and your loved ones, so you can keep your family safe. Now I'm going to be passing it over to Scottish Lesbians. Please don't forget to comment, like, and please subscribe to the channel, as we will be starting a new topic next week. If you do want to hear anything specifically that you would like us to talk about, then please leave it in the comments. We have also started our community tab on this channel as well, for you guys to tell us your stories, your experiences. If you got any questions you want to ask us, then we will always make sure we read them so your voice is heard, because that's the most important thing to us on this channel, because we are a channel by the people, for the people. So I'm going to pass it through to Scottish Lesbians now, to tell you about their experiences and their stories. So, Scottish Lesbians.
Hey. So the thing is, I just don't understand how parents are so unknowledgeable today about things like sepsis, right? And this is just why, right? I'm 41, I have 2 children, and upon leaving the hospital with each children, even during midwife appointments, they made sure that we were very knowledgeable about things like sepsis. So they know all the symptoms, all the signs. Same with meningitis. It's another big one that they talk to us about, as parents, what signs to look out for. And I've even had like situations where I've been on the phone to the doctor when my kids were really wee and they were having like colds or flus, just temperatures, and those would be the key questions I'd be asked, is there a rash? If there was a rash, they'd tell me, go get a glass. Like all those kind of things. They would ask if the rash, was she any hot in any places? Like they would go through all those symptoms with you over the phone, and those were the symptoms for sepsis and meningitis. So I find it very, very, very bizarre. Unless parents aren't being told about it in today's world, I just don't understand how they don't know anything about these conditions that are actually really, really dangerous. Very serious.
Yeah, definitely.
So, So what about you, Silva? Have you had any experiences yourself?
There was, whenever my oldest, he was young, he had problems with his kidney when he was born, but I've never experienced sepsis. Is that how you say it? Sepsis, sorry. I've never, I had to get Carla to actually explain what it was, because I don't know much about it, because I haven't heard a lot about it. Obviously, when I was pregnant, I was told about it. I'm 42. I have 2 kids in their 20s, and I was very young, and I was told.
This is what I'm saying.
I just don't get it how parents today aren't as knowledgeable. Yeah. Young parents, at least, anyway, or parents that are been trying for years, to get their kids. Why have people not been told about this?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, they should have been sat in doctors, waiting rooms. I mean, I don't know how many times I've sat in a doctor's waiting room and read the sepsis symptoms on a poster on a wall. This is the confusing part. I mean, it was something that used to be talked about a lot. So if it's not talked about anymore, that's definitely something new that started happening.
Yeah.
Which is really weird and really upsetting.
But then, when yourself, when you do phone NHS 24, sometimes it just feels like they can't be bothered speaking to you.
They don't want to listen to you.
They don't want to listen to you.
It's almost like
they will fob you off sometimes.
Yeah, it's almost like they can't be bothered.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But that's just the impression. Anytime I've picked up the phone and I phoned 111 in the last few years, not always, because they used to be really good, I feel like I get nothing but excuses, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to that. I mean, I can phone up my GP and basically I phone them to book an appointment, and they straight away tell me, you can't phone up and book an appointment, you need to go through the website. Now, okay, it's fine for me because obviously I know technology, I know how the internet works and so on and so forth. Like before, an elderly person who doesn't really know the internet, who doesn't really know how to communicate, operate a computer and so on and so forth, I mean, how are they going to get an appointment? So if they are suffering from a condition like sepsis, then honestly, they're going to be screwed.
Yeah, for some reason they're making it more difficult and more difficult and more difficult for people to actually get help. I mean, look what happened to me and my wife. We got really, really, really sick. And the only thing I can honestly, hand on heart, say that's helped us is any research I've done or anything that I've gone and looked at and started getting us to take ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, because if it wasn't for that, I don't know, because the doctors certainly did not want to help.
Okay, guys, so before we get to the final thoughts, I do want to say a few things. So this episode was going to be regarding children and children's health, right? And it kind of did get sidetracked to discussion regarding sepsis. Now, we understand that the healthcare system for children is in dire need of repair, right? Because there's documented cases all around the world that, you know, children are being failed, right, by their medical professionals, and it is something that needs to stop. It really is something that needs to stop. And as you've seen from the video that we've shown you, there are people now, parents going home without their children, right, because they suffer from conditions of sepsis and other life-threatening conditions. We decided to really talk about sepsis because it's such an important discussion to have. And sepsis it's a condition that should be known. It's a condition that many doctors should know about, and be treated for and so on and so forth. But it's just not. Why isn't it? That's the big question. Why aren't our doctors understanding that sepsis is a killer? And why aren't they understanding about the symptoms and when these people go in for medical care? Right? I mean, these are the massive questions that, you know, we're asking, right? And we would like to reach out to any doctors in the audience who are watching this film to please leave their comments in the comment section as well. Let's make your voice heard. Can you answer our questions? So I will pass it on to Scorpio first for his final thoughts.
I think in today's society, in today's technology, in today's society, if you don't have a computer, if you don't have a mobile phone, it can be difficult to access doctors and nurses and the support system. When you get through to a doctor or to a support service, are they actually telling you the truth? Are they actually telling you the right direction to take, the right action to take? It can take hours to get through sometimes, even to go to the doctor and make an appointment. It can take hours, and to see a doctor or a nurse, it could take days, which isn't right in today's society. It should be fairly quick. When I was younger, you could just walk into a doctor's and see a doctor. There was no problem at all. But today, with all the technology at their fingertips, you know, you would think that they'll be able to scan children, especially children, for any problems they may have, and not just say, oh, it's a virus, because that is arrogance, isn't it, really? It's arrogance on the doctor's behalf that they can't be bothered, or the time factor is so short that they don't have the time to actually look into the problem. And that's wrong, and it should be addressed. And I think people, they should question what the doctor or nurse is saying to them. If they feel that it's not right, don't accept what they say. Question it, and by questioning what they're saying, and if you feel it's right, okay, but if you feel it's wrong, ask them to have a look at the problem in more detail. Apart from that, I'm not going to say any more.
Okay, Scottish lesbians, do you want to add your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it really, really gives you zero faith in the NHS, you know, when you can't take your child to see a doctor. I would say, to be honest, as a parent, it's being knowledgeable about these things. You need to get to know the worst things that can harm your child and, you know, learn about them. So when these symptoms do arise and you go see a doctor who is clearly gaslighting you, because that's clearly what happened to that woman, she wouldn't be up there on the morning show otherwise, because she's clearly not angry with the NHS. She was obviously very heavily gaslighted just by listening to her talk. It just is very obvious. And yeah, just know the information. You know, knowledge is power, and if you know these things, you can actually argue the point to them, because then you know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Like, even if you're not sure of what the doctor's saying, take them to the hospital. Like, don't even listen to don't come back or whatever, go to the... Because that's the thing, see, when you phone, a lot of them will tell you to go to a pharmacy. Mm-hmm. Oh, it just sounds like core flu symptoms. Just go to your nearest pharmacy and get them to check you over. No, it's a child. If you think your child is worse than they're saying, I would just take it to the hospital if they're not going to listen. You know, the GPs, and that's the thing. It's so hard, like, because you don't... It's heartbreaking that woman lost her baby, you know?
Yes, I just want to say, as a mother, if you have that gut instinct, that gut feeling in your stomach that there's something usually wrong with your child, do not listen to what they say. You just take your baby straight to that hospital and you demand. Plain and simple. Mm-hmm. Because if you feel there's something wrong, you have that deep connection with your child. You carry that child for 9 months. You know deep down inside of you when there is something not right. Don't ignore that. And don't take no for an answer. Mm-hmm. You have to tell these people, because if you don't, they're going to do exactly what they did to that poor woman. Yeah. And she lost her child.
Can I just come in here? If you look at the evidence, all of those professional people were saying that this child was okay, mm-hmm. and not to worry. And don't you think that everyone who said that should be sacked? Because it's just they're just not listening to what her mother, you know, the mother was saying to them. Yeah,
I agree. Every single one of them should be sacked and held up on manslaughter charges, because that's what it is at the end of the day.
Every one of them failed that one.
Mm-hmm.
And not one of them was saying to her, you should go to the doctor, or you should go to the A&E department and have your child seriously looked at, because what you're telling me, there is something wrong, and it needs to be looked into.
Mm-hmm. It's them using their professional experience and a knowledgeable parents. Unfortunately, I didn't ever think I'd hear myself say that, but it just proves by that video that poor woman didn't have a lot of knowledge about childhood, you know, diseases and illnesses and things that can go wrong. And if she had that knowledge, she could have argued the point.
Yeah.
And brought it to their attention by saying, could it not be this?
Yeah, I completely agree. I really do. Okay then, guys. So you've heard from the panel, you heard what we had to say. I am just going to quickly say that if you do have any stories at all that you want to leave in the comment section, let us know about them. Obviously, the more voices we get out there, the better the understanding other people might have. I am going to be leaving the links to this lady's charity on this video. So if you do want to support this lady, I will help provide the link so you can go over there and support her. The information about sepsis will be in this video as well. So please read that, try and understand it, so you can look out for the warning symptoms, so you can protect you and your loved ones. So I just want to give another quick message as well, just to say that we have been working really hard on this channel to give you guys something special. So we have decided that we are going to be opening up a merchandise store, where we will be selling t-shirts, hoodies, cups, and cushions, bags, everything you can possibly want, and they will be designed by our very own Silver. So there'll be a one-off creation. So if you do want to help us support this channel, then we will be providing a link once we've set the shop up. So I want to thank everyone for watching. We do hope that you have learned something from this video and the other videos that we have created regarding the NHS, which I do think we have dug deep into the NHS. And next week we will be starting a completely brand new discussion, and we would love to hear your thoughts about different things you want to talk about, things you want to hear. We do strongly believe that your voice matters, so if you do want us to discuss anything that you've got on your mind, anything you're worried about, anything that you want answers to, then please drop it in the comment section, and we will do our best to get the correct information for you, the research and the evidence provided for you. So I just want to say, from me, I want to say thank you for watching. We hope you all have a lovely evening or a lovely day, and I'll leave it to the panel to say their goodbyes.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.